Excuse me, sir, can you tell me how to get to... Hi, I'm lost. Miss, I'm not asking for money. I just needed some directions. It was a cold winter evening in Toronto, before the age of smartphones. I just moved to the big city, and I got off at the wrong stop. I'm in this big, hand-me-down red winter coat, giant knapsack, and I couldn't get anyone to listen to me. They just kept brushing by, like I have so many times before. I've spent my life trying to get people to listen. I've spent my life fighting all the stigmas that make it so easy for people to silence me. We're not alone in this. When speaking becomes noise and ignorance becomes silence, we're left with this disconnection without a sense of community. Community happens when we felt heard, when we feel heard, and willingly listen. So, who do you listen to? Who do you silence? Can you listen even when it's uncomfortable? I am an interdisciplinary, community-engaged artist. What's that mean? I go into communities and create art with communities that help them tell their story and create work of my own. I do this because I want to build bridges between communities. I do this because for so long, we all hear people say, we want to give voice to the voiceless. Well, how do you do that? The truth is, it's not for us to give. What we can do is create a platform for people to listen and willingly listen when they have something to say. Last year, I had the privilege of being the artist in residence at the John Howard Society Pacific in partnership with the Community Arts Council of Vancouver. Now, both organizations support marginalized communities. The John Howard Society supports folks dealing with mental illness, homelessness, substance use, transitioning in and out of the criminal justice system. We had 3 goals: combat isolation, challenge stigma, and build relationships with the local community. Because whenever a service like the John Howard Society shows up, neighbors start to worry about their safety or the depreciation of their properties. So harmful are these biases, these assumptions. They further stigmatize people and isolate them, many of whom are already living alone. And when I talk about marginalizations and stigmas, I don't just mean the equity-seeking communities like the mentally ill, the homeless, or the Black, Indigenous, people of color, queer people, trans people, women. We all have stigmas and labels. Let's think of some other ones, like climate change deniers, anti-vaxxers, COVID-19 conspiracy theorists, flat earthers. In the documentary Behind the Curve, physicist Dr. Spiros Mikalakis says, very often it is difficult to not look down. It is that you have not developed the empathy to see where they're getting stuck. If we don't challenge our biases, combat stigma, and listen, we're the ones that are stuck. Every week, I'd go to the community service office, and with the help of some amazing staff, outstanding outreach workers, we'd lay out tables of snacks, musical instruments, coloring, crafts, art supplies. We created a space and people filled it. Every week, the participants would come, and some weeks we'd do all the art. Other weeks, we just listened to music. But every day, every week, we agreed, come and listen. Our participants have spent lifetimes being forced to listen, told what to do, had their agency taken away. We listened to each other to heal each other, to foster a community that was already there, identifying with each other. We were humming along, checking boxes, reaching goals, and then COVID-19 arrived. And with it came pandemic protocols, physical distancing, anti-Asian racism, fear, illness, death. Ethically, we had to end the program early. And that was March 13th, 2020. I can't think of a more insurmountable challenge to our goals than a global pandemic. But for 18 months, we experienced the power of storytelling together. Coming into the residency, I shared my own stories with trauma and mental illness. I wanted to build trust through transparency. We agreed to come together to form a community, to identify with each other without judgment or punishment. And sometimes there was conflict. Sometimes the stories were not easy to listen to. Sometimes the stories we heard were downright harmful, outright offensive, just like everywhere else in the world. But we did it because the stories of the wins are so worth it. Every time. On my very first day, I had a participant say, "I've been clean 20 days. It didn't help the stigmas when we found out that relapsed happened. It was heartbreaking to know that we lost touch. But it meant everything when they came back. Because they felt safe to, even on the bad days. I want to close with a poem. It's called Bottom of the Ninth. It's my own work, inspired by all the stories that were shared at the John Howard Society residency. This work is performed with consent and support, and of course, dedicated to all the amazing participants and people at the John Howard Society. It's the bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded and I'm at bat. With just one swing, I could win the game, be the hero. But reality is more like the sixth. I'm branded the villain, and the bases are loaded with every label I'm living with and dying from, and I don't play baseball. When I'm in this manic place, when the adrenaline is pumping, when serotonin is flooding my brain, it feels like the end of the movie. But I'm nowhere near the finish. Privilege is a possibility of happy endings. Now, I don't blame privilege for my limited place. I don't blame society for my mistakes. I don't blame class for the choices I've made. I take the blame because someone has to pay. So I'm sitting in a room full of redemption and regret, where baseball bats swing on broken shins. And I'm left dreaming of sports I don't play, or maybe would have played if it wasn't for the, if I could have lived the what ifs. So I'm sitting in assimilation's waiting room, where conformity is the best strategy. But my playbook is filled with tragedy in a language I don't know how to read, let alone make the play. I'm spinning, I'm sprinting, I can't slow down. I'm told to just start with today. That it's okay to have a bad day. I'm meeting a friend who showed up on time. We're going to watch a baseball game. Today, I am blessed with an easy descent. The manic subsides like an easy slide of stolen bases, but I look up and still They're all loaded with the labels of everything I'm living with and dying from. Victim on first, abuser on second, faggot on third, and I don't know what home I'm going to. It's the bottom of the ninth, and I'm at bat. And with just one swing, I could lose the game. I'm so used to swinging and missing, but someone is cheering for me. It feels like the bottom of the ninth of the last game I lost, but it's really the sixth of the next game I'm losing, but someone is rooting for me. And there will be another game. And then I'm back at bat, trying to get to first, trying to get there first, because I'm still wondering what home I'm going to. Community is so much more than a local geography or common identity or shared values. Community is a place where our stories intersect. Sometimes they collide, but sometimes they merge. But this is our opportunity to listen. It's the bottom of the ninth, y'all, and we're at bat. And winning isn't about one team doing better than another team. Winning is about learning to play together. Thanks for listening.